A lot of people have been wondering why I keep cutting up my DZBT02 deck profiles. I mean, I do decks that haven't even been covered, I do decks that have no reason to be here, I don't even cover what I'm supposed to, like Chris Rain and, Flame G, but we have an explanation for that. I've been deported by Imiga. Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm Mr. here. Today I am back to cover Poison in Paradise, Eva in DivineZ. Or I think I should be more accurate once and for all. Poison to this game state, Eva. Because no matter how much we try and nerf this deck, it keeps crawling out from the dead, forcing us to play differently and to fight horribly. And frankly, I'm just really tired of this deck. And that's why I'm not doing this deck profile. Today we have Tadai Tenshi here.
Hi all, it's Tadai Tenshi here.
So the thing about this deck is that now that our Superior Right promo, which we knew would happen, is aptly named Kaiju, not only is every Akite fan in the universe crying, screaming, scratching their balls till it bleeds, but it also means that you can now play a Kaiju package in Eva, which a lot of people have been wondering, why would I do that? Well, I actually did a Kaiju Eva deck profile when the Kaijus came out in DZBT08. Link in the description, and I've also previously covered about the implications of Eva moving forward, especially with their recent unban of Combined Russia in my Eva DBT13 deck profile. Link in the description. So it's quite apt and obviously quite obvious that eventually when this deck comes back to spotlight, I have to catch it, just like the immigration officer. It's going to be a very simple deck profile because frankly this deck has not changed at all, but this deck just got way more degenerate what it does, and it really sucks. I don't know if this deck is up for a second ban. I know certain people online will say no, certain people online will say yes. I don't think this video is the space for that. I think this video is more of telling you guys what there is to come. When I walked into my WGB hall a few weeks ago, I can tell you I was certainly stunned for my life when half of my table was just Eva. Like, what the hell? I took 3 weeks break and suddenly all of you are back? Like, that's not fair. But somehow none of the Evas won until I found out, in WGP Singapore, the top was an Eva mirror, which must have been a complete nightmare, and I don't even play at that top table. So with that all out of the way, and I've said my piece long and done, I'm just going to leave the room and I'm just going to let you continue this Eva deck profile. Again, for those of you who want to know about DivineZ Explained, link is in the description. And everything else, energy, so on and so forth. We need energy now for Imiga and stuff, but without the way, I'm just gonna take a break. Carry on.
Alright, so let's take a look at the right deck. So we have our mandatory right deck crest. Let's begin with the starter. One who craves knowledge, Eva. When this unit is rolled upon, if you went second, draw a card. Just your basic starter, but you have to run her in this deck. That's because of the Great One's ability. Auto skill. When this unit is placed by writing from One Who Craves Knowledge Eva, search your deck for one research card, review it, and put it into your hand and shuffle your deck. This card is a glitter. Now, this card's name is An Afternoon Nap Regardless of Place Eva. So, enough with the theatrics, I'll go into the search targets for the order very briefly. So you have 2 search targets, results of the experiment henceforth, and torrential energy research. So let's talk about what you want to search, especially for your first turn. More likely than not, you want to search for torrential energy research, as it's a very good filter to your deck, which I'll talk a bit more about later, whereas henceforth is more for the late game, and it also gives you some protection. Well, let's move on to the Grade 2. So, for the Grade 2, Smooth Research Progress Eva. Basically the same skill as the previous one, except that it needs to write upon the Grade 1 with a specific name. So, because there are no specific Grade 3 search targets, you can choose to search for another Grade 1 order, so like Grade 2 research targets, you can choose to search for another Grade 1, or you can choose to preemptively search one of these 3 World is a Blue research lab for your Grade 3 turn. So finally, let's move on to the main boss unit. So, Fountain of Knowledge Eva has been this format's meta threat for quite a few times. So let's talk about her.
It's been 3 years.
3 times. First
3 years.
with Combined Russia, and yeah, we get the drill. So, her X skill. Counterblast 1, once per turn, look at cards from the top of your deck equal to the number of research cards in your order zone. So, basically, you will want to have 3 research cards in your order zone at this current point in time, so that you can maximize her skill as much as possible. And then when you look at them, you choose up to 1 card from among them, add it to your hand, and put the rest of the bottom of the deck in any order, and this unit gains plus 5k and heal end of turn. So basically, it's a top deck scry that allows you to filter. At the same time, it allows you to easily dig deeper into your deck and find pieces that you may need. And it's also very, very good passing into the hand. Let's look at our auto skill, which is a lot more offensive. When this unit attacks, Counterblast 1 and Soul Blast 1, search your deck or hand for up to 1 card with Obscurate in its card name and call it to rearguard circle. If you search the deck, shuffle the deck. So let's talk a bit more about this skill. So basically, you get to call either one of your Obscurate targets, of which the deck currently has 2.
Please no more. Don't have any more Obscurate targets.
Well, we'll see about that. However, you might not actually use this skill very often, as we are going to explain to you the reason why. And that concludes our right deck. Let's move on to some of our orders. So, let's move on to the order that we have all been surprised to see back in Eva again. Basically, back in DBT08, was it?
BT08.
Yes. This was trialed in Eva with a bit of a smaller monster package involving Secondal, Bobo Mine, but more importantly, Wavy Loss. But for the current point in time, it has evolved beyond a simple searcher to enabling one of the deck's most powerful combos. So currently in this deck, we are currently running different monster targets. We have 3 of them, and we are running them in different ratios. We'll talk about this critter very soon. And this critter, you know what this is. This is Sentinel. Archive loves to recycle these. Alright, so what does this order do exactly that makes it so good? Let's take a look. So, when this order is placed into your order zone, you reveal the top 5 cards of your deck, choose up to 2 cards with monster in their card names from among them, put 1 of them into your hand, and put 1 of them into your drop, and shuffle your deck. Basically, it's a net 0 to your hand in exchange for playing the order, and you get to filter 1 from the deck, provided you got a monster that you don't particularly need at that point in time, or to set it up in the drop. Well, let's look at the other research. Play this if your Vanguard is a glitter with Eva in its card name. That's right, Archive can't use this. Continuous skill order zone, all of your regards with Obscurate in their card name cannot be retired by your opponent's card effects. Do take note that this is not resist, and that bind, bot decking, and moving into Guardian Circle still are things that work against your Obscurate. Act in order zone. If your order zone has 4 or more research cards, put this card into your soul, countercharge 1, choose a card with Obscurate in its card name from your drop, and put it into your hand. So this skill basically allows Eva to play the more long game by giving her soul, countercharge, and an extra Obscurate to call from hand or to guard with. More often than not, you want to start with Torrential to search for one of our Kaijus, especially the little critter that, don't worry, it will show its face very, very soon. It will be very key to Eva's current game plan.
Now, just to cut in just a little bit, this card has been printed in triple drive booster as rare, so gone are the days where, oh, this is a $40 card inflated by haha certain person online. You don't need to worry about it, it's only a rare nowadays. So even if you're interested in building Eva, you should be more worried about the new generational promos rather than the promos of 2022. So I just want to leave it out there in case people ask, what is the price point of this deck? Well, it's not as bad as you think for some cards, but there are other cards that this is a complete nightmare. So yeah. Last but not least, we also have one more grade 3D order, and that is the world is a blue research lab. I'm blue, bada bee, bada bum. I want to see Machina Vlau cringe that joke. I know he's still alive. I know you're out there. You play this if you are Glitter Eva is card name, so I'm sorry Archive, I'm sorry for your loss. When this unit is put in your order zone, look at the top 5 cards in your deck, choose up to 1 card from among them, call it to the rearguard circle, shuffle the deck. So it's a top 5 scry for any one of your units, and if any of them have effects that are called if any of them have effects that gain more effects when called by card abilities, well then this is the perfect card. So basically both your Obscurates will trigger, because Obscurate is also from Cactus Sanctuary, and half this deck is only turned on if called by someone else, Eva. And because of that, therefore, you kind of need to use this wisely to scry for your Obscurates for either an extra create or Fake Familiar Thunderbolt. It generally is always in your favor. That being said though, you can also use this ability to scry for non-searchable units that you will need to dig. For example, our ever faithful Combine Rusher. I see you in hell, Combine Rusher. But you don't really need to use this for targets that aren't really searchable. For example, Imiga, you don't need to use your search on this unless your top 5 is really bad, because you already have other methods of searching. So when playing the Worlds of Blue Research Order, you do need to know about which targets need to be searched or can already be searched, and that's generally how you will use this card wisely. You can play this at a 4 off, I think it's absolutely fine. I'm playing it at a 3 off just so I can toolbox more advantage for stall game, especially with Torrential Energy, because everyone loves our good old best deck format, which is obviously going to be Mr. Rezile. But if you're willing to kind of gamble a little bit and play dice against Shiranui, then by all means you can play this at a 4 off. I think either ratio is fine. Test what you need for your locals. I think that's always the most important.
Yeah, and let's not forget about the second skill of this card.
There is one more skill, and that is you can Soul Blast 1 and rest 3 of your research cards in the order zone to choose one of your glitter units, and it gains 5. Now glitter only applies to Eva and Obscurate, so you don't really have much target. So you can rest 3 and Soul Blast 1 and it gains 5. But you may be wondering, why does the rest cost even matter? That's also because of Torrential Energy Research, where if you rest the card itself, you can choose a card with Monster or Kaiju in its card name from your drop zone and put it in your order zone. So you could fish cards back from your drop just to keep it in the order zone. Although, why would you? This deck doesn't really need that. But in the event that you need to fish stuff to save it from prison, because prison is pretty good this format, then you just need to be aware of when you rest which order. I think it's an interaction worth knowing, especially if you play Eva at a competitive level and you accidentally run into things that will eat your drop zone, like for example Shiranui. You need to know what you want to save your stuff from. So just bear that in mind. Moving on to our grade 3s. Our grade 3s, we play 4 copies of Poison in Paradise. Eva, I mean, is this really a surprise at this point? We also play 4 copies of the base grade 3 Obscurate, which is Jet Black Knight Obscurate, I believe. And then for the right deck, we obviously play a copy of Fountain of Knowledge Eva. You already know Fountain of Knowledge Eva's skill, we already read it to you just now. The most important skill for this version of Eva that has the MLB foiling that you need to know is mainly the X skill. Counter Blast 1, look at the top cards of your deck, equal to the number of research, choose one at your hand, shuffle the deck, and this unit gains 5. Although the unit gains 5, doesn't really matter, because you want to get Eva in her poisonous state, which is of course Poison in Paradise Eva.
So, let's talk a bit about our main boss unit, Poison in Paradise Eva. When this unit is placed from writing from Fountain of Knowledge Eva, search your deck for up to 1 research card, review it and put it into your hand, shuffle the deck, and activate Persona Right. That's right, you can activate Persona Right simply by writing this card, which is of a different name. You can just draw one, give 10k to your front row for that turn. It's just that good.
Yep, it's just that good.
And the second skill, when this unit attacks, instead of your usual Counter Blast and Soul Blast 1 cost, you get to bind the Fountain of Knowledge Eva that you just rolled upon from Soul as a cost, search your deck, hand, or drop. This is important, now you can call from the drop, supposing you ran out of Obscurates in deck, or you prefer not to shuffle your deck for optimizing your trigger stack.
Because this deck sacks a lot.
Yes. Just choose one Obscurate from all those 3 zones, call it to rearguard circle, and that unit and this unit gain 5000 power until end of turn. If you search the deck, shuffle the deck, at the end of the turn, write the card bound for this cost as rest. So, Another thing that is very important to note is that she gains 5000 power from her own skill, base Eva, and also Photo of Knowledge Eva, and also this skill that calls the Obfuscate. And with Persona, right, that easily makes her a 33k magic number center column. So it's very obvious where the power from the Soul Blast 1 Blue Research Lab should go. It should go to the side more often than not. Moving on, let's talk about these decks. Let's talk about this deck's arguably one of the best attacker. Okay. So we'll be talking about Knight of Blackness Obfuscate, an iconic part of the Eva deck in the Crayclaw's epic lore. Yes. When this unit attacks, auto on rearguard circle, if your order zone has a set order, this unit gains 5000 power until end of battle. If it has 3 or more set orders, this unit gains 10,000 power instead of 5,000 power. And his glitter skill, which is tied to Eva when this unit is placed on rearguard circle by a card's ability. Yes, prison counts for this. If your order zone has 3 or more research cards, this unit gains +1 critical until end of turn. Yes, you have a 2 crit attacker that can easily threaten for lethal early on once you get your opponent to 4. And there are a lot of decks in this format that want to get their opponent to 4. Wink wonk. Continuous skill on rearguard or guardian circle. This unit gains intercept and shield plus 10k. Now, this skill was part of why Eva was very good in the early days where, well, shield was a premium and not a lot of people actually had shield. So having a deck with not just units that had 5k shields but also 10k shields that deal a lot of damage and can just intercept guard from hand, it's really, really strong. It works starting from grade 1 all the way to grade 3. So anytime you guard with this, it's just an unconditional 10k shield unless certain effects are applied to it. So do keep that in mind. Con skills, if anything disables con skills, this can't intercept. So please be careful.
I love Meteor Flare Dragon. Woo! Moving on to our grade 2s, I'm going to try and speed it up a little bit. We play one of the Evas from the right deck. I mean, is this really a surprise at this point? And we also play a small roster of grade 2s. We played Obfuscate in his younger days. This is Great Sword of Fierce Black Flames Obfuscate. And then we play 3 copies of Combine Rusher. Now, I'm just going to speed through it because I think this is definitely the most grade 2 lineup of all time. I think you've seen this at least 4 times on this channel. Eva is Eva. I'm not explaining this anymore. We only played 3 Combine Rusher instead of 4 on our previous video, link in the description, because we have a lot more stuff that needs to be searched and can be beaten with. Now, the thing about Combine Rusher, as you probably already know by now, is that it's a recurring 20k attacker, which is good and all, but you know, we are tight on space for this deck. So we are playing it at 3 at this point. I think 4 is perfectly fine, but that's also because we are giving a lot of space to the grade 2 Obfuscate, which a lot of people may not agree with. We are playing it at a whopping total of 4, which some people have cut to 3 and even 2 in some lists online. Now, why are we playing at 4 is because I still feel Obfuscate, the grade 2 version, is not only really good in shield, just like his older version, the grade 3 guy, but also because grade 2 Obfuscate has a lot of good things that you can also use him for the early game. Here's why. If your auto zone has 3 or more set orders, this unit gains 5000 power and 5000 shield active on the opponent's turn 2. So from your turn 3 onwards, it's a 15k attacker and a 10k shield, which is nice, although it's relatively slower than the grade 3 Obfuscate, because the grade 3 Obfuscate just gets it as long as, you play the game, right? That's how it works. But the other part about this grade 2 Obfuscate is that when it's placed on the rearguard circle by a card's ability, and your auto zone has 3 or more research cards, when it attacks, it battles all of the front row units. This basically virtually ensures that Obfuscate, the grade 2, if it's superior called by a card effect, it's a Vermilion Thunderbolt. It's a fake Vermilion Thunderbolt, but it is a Vermilion Thunderbolt. And it's going to threaten a lot of decks in this meta. Because, as you've probably seen, people have commented, oh, Shiranui needs his multi-attackers around. Oh, Rezael needs his attackers. Everyone needs stuff on board. Besides Varga Dragress, besides him, everyone else in this meta is completely fallible to a Vermilion Thunderbolt. Which is why in WGP Singapore, apparently a Vermilion guy got 9th place. and I was told he watched my videos or something, but you know, whether you watch me or not, if you're watching this video right here, right now, at the 20-minute mark, I just want to say congrats to you. I have no idea who you are. I've never met you in my life, but congrats to you, and I wish you all the best in your future endeavor. And I hope that, you know, you like the Vermilion support in DZBT02 Dimensional Super Jump. Okay, that out of the way. Again, a lot of people don't agree with this at a 4th. Some people play the 3-2. I think 4th is good because it bears extra shield in the deck. When you stall a game this long, it's going to help in the long run because that 5 to 10k shield can swing a game when you play something as disastrous as Eva. Not only that though, just using the Vermilion Thunderbolt skill once or at most twice a game is pretty well ending to most people nowadays. If we were back in the Ezel format, which is not even a format, it's just Gandiva, I mean, this wouldn't really matter, but now it does a lot.
Okay, one last thing I'd like to add. So, remember how I talked about how the grade 3 Obscurate just gains a crit from being called by card effect? Well, let's not think about the grade 2 Obscurate so deeply. In fact, just having a grade 2 that can just call on the board, swing for early damage, will help make your grade 3 Obscurate even more lethal. So, more grade 2 bodies to call is always good.
That being said though, if you are vehemently against grade 2 Obscurate 4 off and you wish to play more copies of Combat Russia, I think it's virtually fine. I don't think this is something worth being political over, it's just a matter of what you prefer. In my format, in my locals, in my tournaments, everyone is playing such wide going first decks, so I just thought, why not just send an Obscurate and slaughter them halfway? But again, if your format doesn't feel that way, or if everyone's playing a different deck, then I think for Combat Russia should still be the formula of all your supplements. Moving on to our grade 1s. Our grade 1s, we obviously play a copy of the Sleeping Eva. It's the same. I know this deck profile has gone on very long. I'm very, very sorry, but I'll try and speed it up. We play 4 Perfect Guards, including a Sanctitude. We play 4 copies of Imiga, and then we play 3 copies of Secondal. Secondal is from my Ashton deck profile. And some of you may be wondering, well, who the hell is Ashton? Well, you shouldn't, because for some reason that video hit 1,000+ views in a month. I don't know why. Thank you. But yeah, I'm really surprised that video did as well as it did. But okay, so for those of you who want to see the video, I'll put a link in the description. Secondal is really good in this deck is that it bears 3 purposes in one. And it may seem surprising to you, but I'm going to break it down why. First of all, it's a Kaiju by name. Its name is Helping Monster Secondal. Which means you can search it out with torrential energy research. Anything that is searchable, generally by God, is going to be pretty nasty, right? I mean, do I need to explain that part to you? The second skill is this skill you probably know from Eva Set 5, which is when placed on a rearguard circle, choose 1 non-trigger from your drop, and put it to the bottom of your deck. That's wonderful. You get the toolbox anything, right? So in my Astrum video, I said you use this to toolbox Astrum. But here, you can just toolbox anything, and Eva, who is very part sensitive, will benefit a lot from having Obscurates back in the deck, from having your Research Orders back in the deck, from having your Grade 3 Eva, the Poison Paradise Eva, back in the deck, to ensure a greater stall game and ensure your opponent will cry and beg and scream, God, I want to concede, but he can't, because you've trapped him in this hell. But there's actually a third skill at the bottom, which a lot of people forget. If you return the Grade 3 or greater card, so plus 3 and draw. And that skill seems very unremarkable, and people say, "What? Why should I care?" Well, there has been a period of time, and even now, people actually choose to play Wavy Loss in Eva. Wavy Loss is basically OG series Silver Fang Witch, where you Soul Blast 2 and draw a card. And they would play Wavy Loss and Secondal together. But I felt a lot of them actually forgot that Wavy Loss himself is Soul Blast 2 to draw, and this guy is Soul Blast 3 and he can draw. So instead of giving so much space to a Kaiju engine where you generally have competing Soul Blast costs and then making him a vanilla, instead we can just Soul Blast 3 to draw off his skill, and then afterwards we can also get a recycle and stuff, which is pretty good. Again, people wondering, why would I want to play a card that costs 1 more Soul Blast to draw? Well, Eva is a deck that accumulates a lot of Soul, and I mean that the best way possible. That's why we only play the 3 off, because generally if you use this skill once or twice, you win the game. And who is the culprit giving us so much soul? It is Imiga.
Alright, so let's talk about the monster of the day.
Monster of the year.
Yes. Examination monster Imigra. Act 1 rearguard circle. If your Vanguard is a grade 3 glitter with Eva in its card name. Cost: put this unit into soul. Search your deck for up to 1 Poison in Paradise Eva, write it as stand, and shuffle the deck. If your Vanguard was placed during the right phase this turn, or if you Persona Road this turn, you cannot Persona Write until the end of the turn. If Persona Road is active, if you Persona Road is active, even if Persona Write is activated outside of normal write. So let's go a bit into this Superior Write skill. So effectively, what this does is allow you to Superior Write on your first grade 3 turn, going first and second. Doesn't matter whether you go first or second. Just chuck this critter to the soul, search your deck for a Poison in Paradise Eva, and you ride it with almost her full benefits. You do get the search for the order, but you don't really get the Persona Write and the free draw and the power that comes with the Persona Write. So
it's a balancing skill. Like,
yes.
If you got Persona Write turn 2, that's just unfair.
Turn 3, mind
Turn 3,
you.
yeah, that's still unfair.
Yeah. We draw the line at Persona Writing on turn 3. Yes. Anyway, so aside from, freeing up this deck's need for Counterblast, yes, you can no longer Counterblast deny Eva as long as she sees this card. Because you can just move this to the soul, go into Poison in Paradise, bind it for cost, and you can call the Obscurate from deck. Now your Counterblast is free to be used for her first skill, and also for calling your numerous Combined Rusher. Truly, the deck has gone forward.
Not only that, when a research card is played from hand, is put into the other zone, Energy Blast 3, call this to rearguard and he gains 2000 power. This can be scaled from as early as turn 1 going second or turn 2 plus, which means it's basically the most broken form of Rising Phoenix known to man. Because, it's a 10k body that comes on turn 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 infinitely, because Energy Blast 3, again, you can watch my DivineZ Explained video if you want to know more, is a cost you get freely every single turn. And that's what is part of Eva being meta, in my very honest opinion. It's because not only is Combined Rusher clawing himself back from the dead to punch your opponent more and more for the sake of the Nova Grapple, we now also have Imiga as a recurring grade 1 10k booster every single turn. So if it was just the Superior Write skill staple on this card, I think Eva would still be a tier 2 at best. But the fact that this guy is persistent for the entire game without fail, it's downright horrifying the amount of advantage this deck can accrue, and I really don't get why people are sleeping on this deck, for the few that still are, of course. But yeah, that really out of the way, you guys have to stop sleeping on this deck. Like, seriously, stop sleeping on this deck. Just play this deck. It's insane. That is if you can afford it. And I did. That's a foil. Last but not least, we also play Perfect Guards. We use the Kaiju Perfect Guards because we want to search it out with our Torrential Energy Research. Yes, it can be searched with Torrential Energy Research. You would know that if you've played Archive before, but generally that's about it. You can play 4 on the Kaiju PG. I think it's perfectly fine, but we are playing Sanctitude because, we are playing at a high level. We are competitive, we want to stay alive. But again, if you can't, it's perfectly fine. It's not going to cost you much. If you're saying, oh, but it will cost me against Shiranui, well, Shiranui is going to completely die with a capital D when he gets slapped in the face by 2 crit Obscurate. It's a fact of life. Oh, and then when you attack his multi-attackers, then he just loses, right? I heard online that apparently that's what you guys feel the most when it comes to Shiranui. And for our grade zeros, obviously we play the base Eva. It's just base Eva, guys. We've already covered this.
Yep.
And then we also play Nova Trigger. It has to be Elder Breath, because Elder Breath is an auto-win condition in Brandt Gate. We play 8 crits, because we want to kill people. We play 3 fronts. Some people play fronts in Eva, some people play draws in Eva. I feel that right now we have more than enough card blasting. We just want to kill and be very aggressive, so front is fine. And then of course we play 4 heals. Regular heals would do. And I think that really wraps up my Eva deck profile for DivineZ. But if we want to be really clear from the bottom of my heart, this is really just the Imiga deck profile. Very frankly though, I think this needs an emergency ban. I think this is a deck that needs to go once again behind the slaughterhouse, because It just cannot be. There's no format, there's no scenario where you tell me, oh, Majesty Lord Blaster is broken, we need to nerf Blaster Blade the Vanguard. But you let this girl with +5 every turn go free.
+6.
+6 is not even fair. It just doesn't feel right. You know, yes, Rezael is still the best deck in format, undisputably, but this should not be allowed. And Eva is a repeatedly problem contender since its birth. Okay, no, that's wrong. Since the order came out. You know which one I'm talking about. Don't act shy. So really, it's a matter of how are they going to balance this deck moving forward if this deck needs to be balanced. I think it really does. I'm not going to be surprised if they hit something like Combine Russia again. I don't think it's out of the question, but realistically speaking, this deck needs to be reined in if it gets more results. At the point of filming this video, Eva, in terms of the Imiga deck profile, has received some, but I would say not enough to warrant a death sentence. I think what did he say? I think the jury is still out in terms of whether we need to hit this or not. Frankly, I think yes, but time may tell. And we are getting Festival in about a week from now, or in terms of the DivineZ side release, and then we will also be receiving other stuff, like DZBT03 Dimensional Super Jump. And who knows, maybe Vermilion is who will save us from this fated format. Maybe, I don't know. But very frankly, I think if this deck continues the exact way it is without change, we need to ban this. We need something solved because this is an issue in my most personal opinion.
I hope for more archive support to help this deck in DZBT03. Let's continue breaking the Geneva conventions of Vanguard.
Have you read Quick Cross Epic?
Yes.
You know she's a mass murderer, right?
Precisely.
You support this?
Whatever makes me win, whatever makes me spawn a board from free out of nowhere. I just counterblast one, energy blast, and Imigra Combine Russia. And I just call the obscurate from my hand and I call it a day.
Imiga. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Peace.